So I'm getting some major clarity. I'm trying to like finish up some things. I'm like having some heart, like you can call it like activations. And I keep hearing like, this is a game of love. This is a game of love. This is a game of love. But what people like forget about is that a part of the game of love and wish fulfillment is that the lover always, this is a game of love, bro. Venus is in Leo right now. I'm having major clarity. Like I was hearing like my self-realization. You know how people again reference twin flames, soulmates and all this other shit. There's so many aspects to that, but these are parts of yourself. So think about that. You like what this is how connections don't fall through, because people lose sight of what they love. And a lot of what is rooted, what they perceive to be rooted in love, it's not the higher frequency of love. Because even through the karmic nature of things, through the karmic lessons, through lessons of love, it's always gonna bring you back home to yourself. That's something to get fucking excited for. Because it's not so much just about the persons outside of you. It's the frequency of love that you have held onto. And that's why you hear people say, oh, it feels like a curse to be a lover. It isn't, man. Because coming back home to yourself is realizing like everybody is going to teach you a version of what their perception of love is. But are you going to forget, or can you see your worth in all of it? Everyone has their truth. Everyone has their perception on love. I wrote about this in my book. Karmic love, what? Karmics, lovers. What is it? No, karmic. What is it? Lovers, karmic. I forgot what book that was. No, I wrote about this though. I'm probably gonna grab it so I can read from it, because I realized like everything is codes. Once you start saying everything as a sign, y'all hear me talk about the inner child, because the inner child is that essence of love, that essence of authenticity. And then when you get into the frequency aspect, everybody doesn't, they can have it, but they don't know how to hold it. And I don't just mean like, because holding it and letting go is still important too. Because you're going to have to let go of the idea of how people love you. Because that isn't always a healthy aspect. Because for some of them, their way of loving is unhealthy. So I wrote about this, how like a lot of people are in a tug of war and they'll watch you fall on your face through self-sabotage, which through learned behavior patterns, they actually think like allowing a person to suffer. And I don't mean suffer in a way of like, the suffering, great things come from suffering, but not at the hands of someone knowing that they can be supportive in whichever way, because that's what love is going to do. But again, through the healthy aspect of emotional empathy, it's not losing yourself in the idea of that love, the idea of that person. So the misconception even around romantic love, most people don't even have an idea of a balance between love for self, you know, loving parts of yourself that at a point in time you didn't know how to. And that's where the facing the shadow aspect is. And the whole time is just like you're just meeting higher level, some call it like higher level soulmates, or people who have just loved themselves deeply, who have just simply met themselves deeply. So it's still a game of love. It's still like, it made me think about always reference Earth, Wind, and Fire, man, because in the, what is that? In the heart, there's a space. No, is that in the heart? There lies a place. What is it? In the world, that song. You're a shining star, no matter who you are. Shining bright to see for the world. What is it? Shining star for you and me. What your life can truly be. Shining star for me to me. What your life can. So I'm learning something even when you're like coming out of karmic loops as well with cycles in certain form. And really breakups. I'm gonna tell you what breakups and marriages and splits. I'm gonna just tell you what the core of that is. Someone simply just didn't meet themselves deeper. It's so simple. It's plain and simple. Because we're simple. Someone lost track and they could have been on track of trying to love themselves and do things, but it's really so simple, y'all. It's really so simple. Because when you think about a little child, inner child, and so forth, it's just like two children coming from two different backgrounds, right? Two different demographics, right? One can have knowledge of a balance between parents and so forth, and a balance between self-love or not. Either way, that's still a continuous. It doesn't just go away. You're not gonna still be friends with someone who knowingly know treats you unhealthy. And a lot of this, again, it's not to blame them. It's when you get to a certain age and realize, like, you know, I don't want to be your friend. I don't think we're going to get along. I don't think this is going to grow into something simply because core values. So there's someone, again, that has committed more to the balance of self. And if it's karmic, they choose not to lose sight of themselves again. And typically this can happen to where your worth changes. And so that's when the patterns start to reveal itself more and more, and it becomes louder and louder, and you're not going to want to be around that person. Think about it. You're not going to want to continue to be around them because you know that in any way you're going to be subjected to a similar pattern or something. So this is where the beauty of the lovers comes into play. A person, and this is just throughout life, even when people stayed and stuff for so long, it makes you think about, like, they thought it was, yes, okay, yeah. So, yes, your mother could have loved your father, but she also could have lost sight and lost her identity so much so that she didn't even recognize she was in a loop for 30, 40 years. And some of y'all are those fucking generational curse breakers, cycle breakers. That's why it's going to be a theme around this Uranus and Gemini, because I'm realizing now that it's a masterpiece I'm creating, because at a point in time, again, this is my personal life. This is, your gifts will also reflect. Like, if you pay close attention, think about music, arts, and writings. Look at what people fucking write about. Look at what they write about. Journal, poetry, art. Everything reflects something of a frequency, a vibration. Whether that be love, hate, depression, emotion, something is purging out, right? Okay. That right there reflect what type of internal thing that's going on with them. With their relationship, with their connection. Think everything's is codes. Everything is a representation of something. However that song comes out, this is why I tell y'all gotta pay attention to people. What type of music are they putting out? That shit is very significant. There's no coincidence. And that right there is pretty much, whether it's wounded, stable, holistic, unhealthy, attachments, codependency, and so forth, everything still has an intention behind it. Whether they know it unintentionally or will come into it. Yes. This is why people don't realize, like, when y'all hear me reference celebrities and other people of certain status, they are karmic. Everyone is karmic. Not all, but some people, yes. They're going through shit. Some of them are lovers too. Y'all gotta realize on a deeper soul level and so forth, a lot of things are finna shift to where a lot of this value with Chiron and then Taurus and then Gemini represents the lovers, the children, inner child, all these different things. It's purposeful because it's gonna be a duality to all of it. The masterpiece I'm creating now, at a point in time, if those who have been watching me, most of my journey in the last with Chiron and Aries, the last almost 8-9 years, all of my masterpieces were very significant. I start to look at it like it's a fucking puzzle piece. And it's preparing you not just for a person. Everything is preparation for you. You gotta meet you deeper, and then you're gonna meet others along the way. That's what Earth, Wind, and Fire, like their message was talking about. There are others like awaiting your arrival. There are others on a deeper soul level. If you know, you know. There are others. It's like you preparing yourself. When you hear about people say your higher self or future self, there are versions of people that reflect that. And it's going to be made very clear again. I tell you about the karmic timeline, where you still have to prepare. That's the beauty of me now and realizing like the lovers. It's not even when you're ready. It's when the divine say, no, you're not going to meet this person right now, because you still have to let go. You have to let go of all things connected to the previous person. And it ain't even just a person, it's the energetic aspect. Because if you evolve, you cannot carry and bring nothing alone. I remember somebody that I knew when I first met them, or just in a meeting of them, they were bringing stuff from previous relationships into something. Now, had I known like the importance of that then, I would have realized like that was disaster. Because what I ignored was a pattern. That was what some may call a red flag. I ignored the fact of this being the fact of this person never, because it's the material aspect of it. It's still, and some people may say it differently, but material is definitely important with all of that. It's the material aspect. Like when you're carrying that, that's a telltale sign this person hasn't let go. They haven't let go. And I even told them at that time, I was like, yo, why are you still holding on to this? Me, at that time, before I got into my progress chart, naturally, Scorpio, we transform things through emotion. Then learning more about my Cancer placement, I realized like a lot of these things were showing me where I wasn't protected, but how I need to protect my emotional body, my emotional, through emotional abandonment. Now I know how to protect myself emotionally. So you got to think through all these transits, through all these experiences with people, lovers, whatever outside of the titles, I was realizing now it's very significant where I did not protect myself. And I'm able to recognize where they also didn't protect themselves and knew how to. So through that experience, I still knew that I had pure intentions. I still knew that at the core of me, I love love. I embody it. Now I'm learning to embody it instead of like thinking that I gotta seek it or so forth. I embody it, and then I will align with those who have done the inner work. So when you think about like, and so that made me reflect on like so many connections and relationships where people ran when you like, they ghost you or they run or something. Those of you that know. And again, it's not personal. It's just they're not ready. You can't make people be ready to be loved, because then that tells you they're not lovable. Somebody needed that. So think about how a lot of our grandparents and people stayed and stuff, knowing that the person wasn't lovable because they didn't know how to love themselves. So they stayed in that, and guess who carried it intergenerationally? We did. So whether you have children or not, it still was a learned behavior pattern intergenerationally. No matter if you want to accept it or not. No, it's an ancestral thing. And that's why I tell people what a lot of us are healing. I'm literally talking about this at the tail end of a transit that I have in my chart before progressing now, because I got to look at the progressive aspect of it. But I think it's still in Jupiter in Cancer though. But the significance of that, again, is the awareness around realizing that the things that also you're going to expand on is related to what Cancer represents. And I tell y'all, like, Cancer is not just the mother, the home, and matriarchal, all those different things. Now, when you bring it into the material aspect, think about that. When people do the inner work around these transits, it's going to prepare you. I saw something on a post where this girl was like, she had Jupiter in Cancer in one of her charts, no, Jupiter in Leo, and Jupiter's spinning inner Leo, right? Jupiter's spinning inner Leo, and she was like, I think this happened like 12 years ago. She said she was at such a depressive state and so forth. So this is why inner work, doing the shadow work is so important, because you realize, like, nothing is for you to hold on to. And that's what I meant to say earlier. Like, when you embody love, you don't hold on to love, you embody it. You just are. That's what being loved and lovable is. Now, when you're looking for someone to love you, this is what the whole misconception around people, you know, what I've learned now through the karmic nature of things is from a place of codependency. Because if you're solely dependent on that, you're going to be disappointed so many times, because that individual has to have awareness around who they are no matter what. And this is not a bad or good thing, good or evil thing. This is just simply people who are willing to do the inner work, and it's eventually going to show. It's going to show. For some, you will notice how some people try to rush into things like, because I was also picking up on, like, people do get insight. People do get insight that you're going to meet somebody. Like I told you, I had someone, I don't know if I said it on here, I had someone specifically close to me that we no longer have, like, dealings like that or on that that level romantically. But they told me, it's almost like they foresaw the shit. Like, you're going to meet somebody, or you told me. I was like, what? At that time, you know, sometimes you think like, motherfuckers sound crazy, like I'm only focused on you right now. But that was the problem. Because this is why I tell y'all how certain connections as lovers, as people with gifts and so forth, and then the more you come in tune, your partner is very significant to your spiritual growth and expansion. And your life expanding on all levels. So going back to what that girl was saying, how at the time she was depressed around a certain transit, I specifically told her, like, hey, if you paid attention or you did the inner work throughout these years before this transit happened, and sometimes we don't know, because sometimes we're not even in deep into this shit as we know. But either way, I was like, well, as long as I told her how, like, the Jupiter and Cancer transit was more so inward. And if you, right now, like I said, we're at the tail end of that, you're seeing it, the significance of it. And the reason why this is beneficial is because a lot of these transits are preparing people, for some of y'all, for expansion in family. And that's on all levels. Expansion, when you do the healing work, that means it's going to expand the family dynamic in so many different ways. When you think about home, it's not just home within self. So Jupiter is also going to expand through that. That's what I picked up on when I was learning, like, oh, the lovers or this and that. Because around what I was going through, it was expanding everything around, like, emotions, emotional safety, all these different things wherever I had Cancer placements. Like, it was highlighting those specific things. And as it expanded, meaning that it was making it clearer, because expansion is
you cannot not see it. It's like a balloon, like. So imagine something expanding right before your eyes, and then it becomes so big to where it becomes you can't contain it. You see what I'm saying? So if you don't see it then and recognize, like, not so much deflating it, but becoming aware of what's expanding, what's coming up, it will expand those things around home and family, feelings, emotions, home within self, so many different things that are very significant, whatever relates to you. So right now, that could have been something or theme that I was telling her, like the inward aspect. So a lot of these signs brings up things to where, again, the home in the body, emotional safety, all security, and so a lot of things they brought up for me, like dealing around with sex, the feeling of feeling safe within my body. So how did I create environments or connections that wasn't centered around feeling safe? You don't hear men talk about this, but this is what I have to do because it's important. Because moving forward, you will want your children, you know, when they grow up, to know this importance of this, like to feel safe within your body. And think about that, women, to feel safe within your body. A lot of y'all never ever know the importance of that, because it was most of the time stripped from you, or you didn't know how to get on that journey. So then that's where you kept engaging with people who were emotionally unsafe for you. But you thought it was safe, but you didn't know the importance of safety. So, you know, this is where the karmic lesson can come in. That's why I'm telling you, because this is from experience. I don't have to, you know, ignore it no more. But this is, again, how the mother of my children, how we connected. You know what I'm saying? And that was through both of us having to learn the valuable lesson of now coming to the awareness. It wasn't so much of how much we wasn't safe for each other, because this is just about clarity, because the bigger picture is for people to get lessons from this. And this goes back to karmic lovers or lessons, and people that come to show you a grave lesson, even around the heart space, or open up things within yourself. So you can really see, like, it was never in vain for you to meet the mother of your children, the father of your children, to be in that marriage, whatever it is that's very significant. Because again, we're shifting into things where we're healing. Now we're coming back into balance and being holistic. You know, things that you didn't see before, now you're seeing and becoming aware of. So again, for a lot of you mothers, this is women especially, this is very significant. Especially if you dealt with childhood traumas, feelings of feeling safe and valued outside of sex, outside of some of y'all sex workers. Even, like, I've been seeing this theme around even prostitution, because, you know, just seeing people being subjected to a lot of drug abuse or so many different things, to where basically it's just highlighting the fact that they lost sight of home within self. So they're trying to escape and feel safe again. And safety for them is in drugs. Think about it. Escapism ain't nothing but trying to find a place where you think it's safe to be. That's why you see so many people even gang shit. All this shit, bro. Home. What is home for some people? When you ask them to the depths, when you think about when I think about even cancer, all that shit is a cult-like, because when you think about hidden knowledge and so forth, that's what the mother is. You don't know everything about a woman. You don't know everything about a person. That's the magic of the universe. You don't know everything. There's no one person on this in this earth realm, walking this earth, that knows everything. Their body couldn't even fucking fathom or try to even comprehend everything, because it's not made for that. That's why we all are reflections and give each other clarity to remember. And that's why even Jupiter through Cancer was a lot of things that dealt with ancestral, you going through things karmically with family and friends as well, or family specifically, learning things about your mother and father, gifts, learning things about how people kept stuff hidden. That's the occult and shit.
You could have been a part of a fraternity, sorority. Some of y'all women realizing like whole time people were involved in shit. All that shit is a cult. It's hidden. When you got shit passed down through the lineage, I don't give a fuck if it's Freemasonry, sorcery, all that shit dealing with stuff that's hidden. It still deals with the feminine archetype. What's hidden. That what's in the darkness. Things that are hidden. The magic of things. For you to come to awareness of what you've been a part of or what you didn't even know you were a part of. You know, fucking secret society. Fuck, motherfucker be talking about Illuminati, all this shit. Man, I be sitting here like, bro, what the fuck? Y'all don't realize that y'all have been a part of the motherfucking greatest deception? Like my elder say, wait till y'all fucking find out the real lane that you fucking own. And I keep getting major clear to that shit. Wait till y'all find out so much. It is not gonna go over well with a lot of people. And it's slowly coming out. That's why they want to distract you with dumb shit. This is why lovers are important too. Because you're actually, this is why even karmics, I get so much appreciation of people who, so going back to my own lesson, I think I did finish up with old girl when she was saying like, oh yeah, I did. But what was it? And for a lot of you, like, this is those who are into the natal chart and spirituality. A lot of people are, for one, you're clearing up shit dealing with past life too. Because anything dealing with past, because we're in Cancer season right now, anything dealing with past, you're dealing with the matriarchal. You're dealing with both patriarchal and matriarchal, but most importantly, you are dealing with the matriarchal. Because the matriarchal is the beginning of everything. That's why some of y'all are coming out of that fucking illusion of religion and shit. Spirituality predates all that shit. This is the rise of the divine feminine and masculine, if you want to call it that, or, you know, the dark feminine that's rising within us all. Hidden knowledge, hidden shit. That's why a lot of people are getting initiated through shit that they, at a time, you gotta realize through deception, through spiritual warfare, through so much shit, monitoring spirits, things that have plagued a lot of people's lineage because they were opened up at a point in time to a lot of shit, to where now it's being closed off. Now things are being protected and sacred again. Because a lot of y'all, I keep telling y'all, a lot of y'all coming to the awareness that you are fucking gatekeepers, bro. You're not just a fucking woman. You're a fucking gatekeeper. You're a gatekeeper of fucking knowledge and wisdom. How do you, for one, this lover shit and all this shit, that this all is a part of how a lot of empires or a lot of sorcerers, women, matriarchal, all the magic and the arts of that shit, a lot of that shit was exposed at the hand. And I probably ain't gonna be the first to say this, but I probably will acknowledge it. And you're hearing it right from a man's mouth. It wasn't just women that was a part of that shit. Because some say that, you know, men were created at a point in time. Either way, whether you subscribe to it or not, man in itself, whether you want to say gender related, oh, we definitely had a part in keeping shit away from women. But you got to realize women also had a part in that shit too. But men, due to why this patriarchal is collapsing, is that they can no longer hide the shit and the women behind them. That's why I told y'all about the karmic lessons in this shit. That's why certain people now, the part of what being a lover is being able to alchemize the hate. Because the ones that hate men and women, the ones at the core that hate themselves, you're going to see behind the scenes of all this shit, the deception and manipulation, those are the ones who have made their money, built their empires, or built whatever the fuck they is behind that very energy. And it's collapsing. This is why they don't want people to focus more on the higher frequency of love, of integrity, of authenticity, baby. Because if I can if I can get you to realize that it's you you're missing out on, to love yourself, to be with yourself, to navigate through things that your mother couldn't do or have the opportunity. And I came across an amazing video. Let me actually rephrase that. This sister said, it was so vital. It was so fucking beautiful. She said, do you know some of your ancestors that are passed on actually knew that, how did she say that? They knew when they were leaving that you were going to be the one that they were going to give time to. Like, in their time here, they knew in their transition, that you were going to be given more time. So it's like the gift of more time to actually navigate this shit. And while on the other side, they going to be fucking supporting you. And that's the ancestors of the highest, you know, for the highest good. If you know, you know. So yeah. That's why some of y'all think y'all done lost out on love. You fucked up, keep looking outside of yourself. Get you together. Then you will realize why I'm so excited. I'm so excited because I know love can't be possessed. It cannot be controlled. A lot of people don't have that mindset. And that's why some people can become highly obsessed with you, because they haven't grasped it. They'll get unhealthily attached. They'll keep shit from you. They'll keep stuff from you like a child. For some of y'all, this is for some of y'all. That's why people do spiteful shit like that, because they feel with motherfucking hate. They getting influenced by other shit spiritually. And this is why it's so important on you to keep going on your journey. And if you pay attention, it's like a fucking video game. All the signs are there. Once some of y'all gonna realize, like, some of your mothers and fathers and some of these people in your family, once you realize how karmic they is, I don't know why this is so funny to me, but it's so real. Them motherfuckers is karmic as fuck. Like, meaning, like, damn. Like, they get so focused. Some of them can be so focused on you. And it's like, dang. And I'm gonna tell you how I used to catch this shit. Nobody was ever truly happy. They'll sit, not that they have to be, but they were masky. You know, you bring somebody around. But think about it, they'll love for your ass to keep bringing people around. Somebody new. Shit, because it reminded them of a loop they in. It's going to be reminding them of the loop they in. They're like, oh, well, shit, I ain't the only one who having a fair relationship. Shit, man, I ain't the only one who keep going through these motherfucking harsh lessons that the universe is telling me. Oh shit, that's why so many people be so, they really be jealous as fuck. I seen this shit happen with family members. I seen this shit happen personally. When somebody I know got married or hear that they was getting married, they didn't really want that person that they married. I mean, at they shit. They didn't want that person there. They did not want that person there. They knew damn well that person was just as jealous as anybody else. Because people be comparing their lives. You gotta realize, like, family members, everybody karmic in nature, like, in some type of representation. Simply because they haven't met themselves deeper. They don't come around projecting shit onto you. I'm coming, I just gotta get this maintenance on. We the only lovers left alive. We the only lovers left alive. That's why this you. Let me let this dry. That's why that Uranus, the Gemini too, a lot of this shit, a lot of these cycles I'm very gonna highlight a lot of friendship too, like rebuilding things on a mental level. These transits just tell you, like how you can unexpectedly meet a life partner or someone significant. Because a lot of people don't know how to be loved without attachments. I had to learn that shit. When I start recognizing, like, damn, you think you missing out on something? Nah. Some people won't see it. And then when I say, so going back to the lovers aspect, it's a beautiful thing. It's not so much being a lover, it's so much of also remembering, like, when you see these lessons and go through things, you don't forget to love yourself. And that's how, again, how most people in connections, it's not so much they fumble you, that's why some people can love the idea of you. That's a karmic thing. Especially if they don't have awareness of self. They'll be so focused on your life and forget about their own. In the midst of it all. Yeah, I'm playing this. I laugh so much at that shit with the karmic. I mean, what? Oh yeah, the family. Yeah, because that shit. If you know, you know. It's supposed to be tripping me out. Like right now, I know people can't wait. Seeing the life I've been living. Some of y'all again are gonna be the first representation of what self-love and self-care is. Some of us is that. How much? Oh, I'm good on that. So I can. Some of us is that, bro. Folk really gonna be sitting back wondering. It's so funny to me because I know it's a part of what I already know I'm experiencing. I'm gonna tell you how you know somebody's gonna go through another fucking karmic, or when you actually know they're on a karmic cycle or karmic loop. They've been a loop through something. They'll mention how much, like, say if you're going through, I'm creating something now where I'm talking about how stuff be showing you exactly where you at or what's gonna happen. But, and that's the part of keep going. So I'm gonna tell you the concept what I just did with this, right? This was 2 separate pictures, right? So I broke the things off. So it's almost like, for me, it's like I broke the things off that you have to bring it together, because how it's together, I broke it off so it has to connect like that. So it's like puzzle piece, like symbolizes the lovers, or, you know. But basically what I'm saying is just the symbolism in that, showing me like my journey. Like I said, if you pay attention to the signs, they're there. But that broken aspect was showing me again how you can be coming from not always broken heartedness, but somebody will be broken hearted, but that doesn't mean like it was intentional. A lot of things, when people are on a karmic level, they'll see things as being broken. And really, by them trying to say it's the other person instead of seeing the lesson, that's going to be the difference between who really has elevated, who has ascended. Whether it's, and that's where your whole perspective on what karmic, because people can be a lover or be a soulmate or even be a life partner, twin flame, whatever you want to call that shit. But you are these things first. You embody these things first. Because after certain things, depending on if you've been on a journey of healing and so forth, that it's going to reveal that specifically. It's going to reveal that the person stayed on the karmic cycle while you actually did the healing. So while some people are like probably be in disbelief, like, how is this person moving on? How is this person moving on without me? Or, they'll be focused on where's this person getting the support? This shit's so funny because it's already happening with a lot of stuff that I've experienced. It's like cycles will have you realizing like it's how can I say this? In a universal sense, like, things will not so much look the same, but when you evolve, it's like the energy upgrades. So you're getting upgraded in life, and you still got lessons. You see what I'm saying? You still got lessons. You still got the people that's gonna remind you. You still gonna have people that remind you why the fuck you needed to move on, and not just choose yourself wherever you are on your journey, but you still. I'm laughing because I have a light heart to this shit, because it's so much clarity and awareness at the same moment. It's like I know where it to be. I know where it have been to where I was so unhealthily attached, and this is where heartbreak comes in, because you're so attached to an individual and not seeing the importance of yourself. So your life without them is actually an unhealthy attachment. You are supposed to thrive without people. That's what self-sufficiency is. This is what knowing thyself is. You are supposed to thrive. And see, me, through healing the mother wound and abandonment wound and seeing a lot of things play out, again, I can be authentic and honest with myself. That doesn't mean, like, it still gives people room to improve, self-improve, and do certain things. But it also means that you don't have to wait around. Because that's when settling comes into play. That's when just assuming that this is all there is, and it's not. We live in a universe. We live in your own world. We live in an abundant world. And it doesn't mean, like, what you will notice with a karmic loop, because especially if you already lived it, you will sit there and jump into something and assume that, and this is through, like, lessons with myself, is I can tell someone who's, let's say, stuck on a, like, think about, like, when you're parting ways with someone, those of you know that know. Now, I'm going to show y'all, to express to y'all the difference in a holistic approach and an unhealthy attachment, which is, like, if you want to call it, toxic. Now, some people can agree to it or accept it, and some people won't. But in a way, we all have probably been this person, or probably not. You ain't got to necessarily subscribe to toxicity, but it still could be an unhealthy attachment. So let's say I've told a person, or, let's say in the past, I told a person, like, because this is through growth. When I had to recognize the mother wound and unhealthy attachments and stuff, I noticed how I left and departed situations. Sometimes I realized, like, some things shouldn't even involve sex. Like, that's growth. Some things I realized shouldn't have never involved sex. That was through my healing journey to realize, like, I can now create and build things, and that's Uranus and Gemini. Realizing, like, highlighting those very things, like the importance of communication. Because what I'm creating right now is a representation of the importance of now where I know I'm at, which is restraining from sex, which is just discipline, but still healing through the mother wound and realizing a lot of things when it came to just building on sex, it wasn't sustainable. And plus, you're opening your world to this individual on an emotional level, which again, I had to navigate through, where I didn't realize the importance of protecting myself emotionally or having emotional boundaries. So this is gradually through the connection of women, connecting with people and so forth. And even sometimes, like, no shame, like with same sex too, or whether if you subscribe to that or not. But either way, it was still showing me the importance of there not being any, what I know now, where I could have had boundaries, or almost what I call, in the toxic way, be avoided. But the boundaries aspect, I realize now, is the consistency you have to have with healing to stand firm in your truth, in your authenticity, in your integrity. Because there's gonna, I don't like to say test, but there's gonna be a lot of discipline to where you're gonna have urges to go back to what is familiar. And that karmic loop, and that's why the universe keep telling your ass, hey, if you don't see this now, the force is going to become greater and greater where you think like, oh, I'm going to get through this again. I'm telling you personally, every time I try to go back to something or revert back to my old narrative a certain way, the lesson became, oh my gosh, like the shit became wild. And I knew then, especially not having healthy boundaries, even though I had pure intentions, but again, I didn't have people to really show me the importance of boundaries. So things still would end in a way to where I didn't care so much about the person's, how they felt, because I had become so numb. Because being emotionally abandonment, that was one of the biggest things, how I would be so numb and not have emotional empathy. And so I had empathy, but I didn't have emotional empathy to where I didn't know how to not lose myself in the idea of people. And this is where I didn't have emotional boundaries. So now I'm becoming more deeper into that. This is where the integrity and then choosing yourself comes in. And that's why I say about being a lover. That's the beauty of love. Love is gonna have you navigate through lessons where you start to recognize what is, if you want to call it a low aspect of love, low frequency, or what is not even love at all. Because you can have love in your heart, but some connections turn people cold. Some connections, again, when you see how they end in tragedy, and that's what, again, the lessons I had to go through that through unhealthy attachments. Even when I didn't have any boundaries. I had love. I naturally know how to do that. It was just so much in attachment to the idea of people to where I would lose myself along the way with escaping through sex, trying to find, escaping through everything that was keeping me from the journey of self. So I would lose myself in them, the other person, and basically get caught in their shadows, in their karma. Because again, a person has to know the importance of still navigating their lessons in love, self-love, the balance between love and hate. You know how they say it's a thin line between love and hate? Yes. Because like I said, hate is a very powerful word. And I've had people say that to me, and I realized like, whoa, I had to get to a place like it's really inside of them. It's not me, or it's whatever attached to them. So I gradually start to realize, like, through the healthy aspect of pouring into myself more, I know now my approach on how to leave things depart or leave things, but closing the cycle out. Do y'all see what I'm saying? So when you recognize the loop, you won't do karmic shit no more. When you recognize the karmic loop, you will know how to close out a cycle. When you see the loop, you will know how to close the cycle, like a closing a chapter. You'll know how to close a cycle to the loops, to the learned behavior patterns that kept you in the fucking loop. Of not seeing what was hindering you. What was hindering the other person? Because sometimes it's not so much you, but in a sense, you have to see the loop in the other person. You have to recognize, like, dang, okay. You will see an aspect of yourself that you have outgrown, or emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and so forth. So when I'm referencing, whether you want to call it twin flame, outside of all that title stuff, again, you are these things. At a pivotal moment at a time in my life, I met someone along my journey that I literally was going through something similar, but it wasn't, because once you realize like how much you are on a journey and you stay committed, you will realize like how easy things become, or how less how easy, but like how harmonious things become when you don't go against the grain, or actually you begin to surrender. Because again, what you didn't see then, you see now. So it's like that makes you like 10 steps ahead to where like you know how to respond rather than react from an unhealthy place. So for me, that's why I was like, oh, now I'm becoming very aware. Where again, at a pivotal moment in my time, at a moment in my life, I was doing my art. I was in the midst of something to where how I spoke about how like a lot of people are probably healing from a lot of people when you think about the healing cycle, love triangles. So we're going to go from the unhealthy aspect of having love triangles, which is karmic and dangerous, to all that polygamy shit. Like all of this stuff has a lot of deception to it. It's not to say that it doesn't have a duality. For every painful thing, there's a gain to it. So this is what growth teaches you, that there's a gain to all of this. Because once you start applying the knowledge that you have, the wisdom comes with it. So I've noticed that to where at a moment where people, and this is what reflects again emotional growth, emotional maturity, spiritual community, spiritual maturity, and a lot of things that will reveal that the balance between self-love, self-care, and all these different things and seeing your value will restore balance to any and everything. I'm not going to say it's always going to be perfect. It's more so like that's how much you have to stay persistent and consistent in what you're doing. No matter, again, in the connection, it's very important for people to have an idea or be going towards, some call it their north node, or going towards a north star, meaning going towards things that bring them love, bliss, and not so much external. It's like this internal aspect, going towards those things that brings them the stability, going after their goals, their inner child aspect. So when you think about the dysfunctional aspect of that, all of us were caught up in cycles where people didn't even know how to address their wants and needs. So you think about abandonment issues, things that I've met people, we were mirroring back similar things. Sometimes people didn't know how to address it. So then you'll go have sex and think that fixes it. Trauma bonding. So now when people are coming out of that, they're realizing like in this healing aspect, that's what it is, referencing a higher frequency, a higher vibration. Because we're on an individual level. Some people come to open your heart space. And when you're a lover, you find you hold on to, or you embrace your gifts more and more, to where the person, wherever you're in a connection with, still has to also do their part. It's not one-sided. That's why all this dysfunctionality around this person got to provide this person got to provide that, the whole misconception. That's why I tell you how much of a cleanup is going through the spiritual community, the deception and manipulation around even monogamy, even all these different things. Is a deeper aspect because everyone's not here to do the same thing. People are learning different lessons in their lineage. People are also learning like the importance of how, if you want to call it the chosen or whatever it is, this lifetime is for people to actually go on their own path and embody it, to reclaim their sovereignty. Everyone's not going to want to do that. Some people may take longer because they chose to be on a karmic lesson or chose to go through the karmic cycle. And some of y'all don't got insight at all already, them warnings and your dream states and so forth. Because simply what's happening is that what? The divine is warning you, if you go down this fucking route again, this was going to happen. Or you might have seen homeboy or homegirl in the dream state doing something with somebody. Okay, so what? What's your unhealthy attachment to them? Counter that shit and realize, what is divine really showing me? It's showing you the fucking karmic loop that they're probably already in, or the karmic cycle they're going to choose even when you leave, baby. You can't stop them. You can't save them. You ever thought about that perspective? Because I used to get insight from that shit. I used to get insight to the fact of like knowing that somebody was coming telling me one thing, but some of y'all got gifts to where the divine telling you this whole person right here is up to no fucking good. This person is telling one person one thing, and you know eventually, if you're in alignment with integrity and authenticity, you don't have to really much say shit. You intuitively going to pick up on it. You're going, the spirits, whatever the low vibrational, that frequent entity, whatever it is attached to them spiritually they're going through, whatever you want to call it, is eventually going to play out, or they're going to tell on themselves. So when people think about cheating, all this other shit, who are they cheating? You can't cheat the fucking universe. You can't cheat anybody. That's like trying to take a shortcut to love, but you forgot to love yourself. Do y'all see the importance of this healing shit now? Or actually doing the inner work, or actually going deeper? It's to prepare yourself for that specific. If you're not even looking, it's gonna come to you. It's gonna present itself naturally, organically. Because when you actually do the inner work, you don't. It's an effortless aspect. You don't have to necessarily look for it. It'll find you. What you're seeking is seeking you. That's why a lot of things I've learned, even through karmic lessons, that those very people who thought they were cheating and could take shortcuts, who withheld information from me or knew about certain things because they would get insight, somehow, some way, like I told you, you will sit down with a person and you'll come to that self-realization of self-worth or self-value or something. You met yourself deeper. And whether you said or not, you silently leave or you prepare yourself. Now, however that person interacts with you throughout that, whether they project, whether they act out a certain way, and this from lived experience, you're still collecting karmic debt. Or you're building karmic debt. You don't have to necessarily, and it's not going to always play out that way, but when you are secure within yourself and grounded and so forth, you still go towards your North Star. You still go towards what brings you stability and harmony and peace. And I tell you, right after something, just because it don't look a certain way as it was before, don't mean you lost out on something. Because that clarity on the other side, when you get that new home or wherever you are, or even some of you that had to go through experience of whether it's homelessness, whether it's having to live in your car, or having to start over fresh, whether it's a mother, a certain situation, father, and so forth, you have wish fulfillment, those who know, or whether, those in tarot, like certain things are also, when you reach a certain peak or pinnacle, it's also an awareness, because spiritual currency is just as is significant, is just as significant as physical currency. Because that clarity, that insight brings you that inner peace that is more valuable than any material shit. Because you will start to recognize that person that's karmic hasn't met themselves deeper to obtain or to navigate through those shadows, their fears of codependency and all these different things. It'll start to reveal itself. And I tell y'all, women especially, you're seeing it play out through men right now. It's playing out energetically through people, but the patriarchal in itself. You're seeing people, they're still focused on obtaining so much money, material shit. Still didn't learn nothing from the Chiron and Aries around the identity. What this is going to tell you is how much, again, you can love that person as much as you want to, but that person has no empathy or no sense of self-awareness around well-being for themselves. So when they do go through something, their identity is based around that. And they're going to have to rebuild it. That's what these things take you through, or you have to go through to come out. Like, you have to go through it. That's the beauty of what a lover is. It's like you have to go through shit karmically, whether you were on the receiving end or you were on the giving end. And that's one thing I became very conscious aware of. I'm like, in certain moments, I would sit there and realize, like, dang, hold on. I remember, like, the conversation we having, or what you just said, or when you were attentive and aware, you realize, dang, I remember I went through something similar like this. maybe this is my karma that's coming back around. And why would I be mad? No, it's a great thing. Because that's the universe letting me know you ain't outrun shit. And now, what's that Nipsey quote? I put it on one of my masterpieces today. On the video, he was like, he said he saw this quote or something in a book where, would you rather be at peace with the world and at war with yourself, or at peace with yourself and at war with the world? And once you realize the depths of that, the beauty of that is the difference between a karmic and a lover. Because some people, through the identity that they created, and karmic can be anybody. Anybody. You know, other than children, of course, that are innocent, that have yet to, they still gonna go through their lessons. But just the awareness around, again, people choosing to stay in that karmic cycle to where they don't even recognize the influence it can have on children. But some people are so deep that they don't even know, and they don't care to change within. So, and this is where you cannot save nobody from shit. So, my awareness to this is also the lover aspect is like you're choosing to make peace and mend these things with yourself. So when someone resurfaces or someone comes around, and when it comes to the fact of, you'll be able to be intuitively to realize that they're still at war with something. They haven't made peace. So that's why you see how when people try to reconcile, they haven't made peace with a lot of things. So they will try to return to talk about certain things, maybe something they didn't see years ago and so forth. That's the beauty of it all. At the same moment, you still got to be discerning. That's one thing I will say about people who karmically refuse to see the lesson or see the loop in the cycle that's playing out, is that they what was I about to say? Is basically they're not choosing to and they're not trying to better themselves or do the inner work. They prefer being at war with you. Or they basically choose to be at war by not doing the inner work. Think about that. And this is how people don't realize you stay in the karmic cycle with people. That's why I tell people, go right ahead. You go right the fucking ahead and be with such and such, or do this and do this and do that and do that, and think it's going to get better. It's not going to get better, especially if they don't know who they are or got to know themselves in the midst of that. I had to tell someone, I told you, I'm like, bro. That's why sometimes, like, I had to tell somebody, like, as much as you want to convince me that you've done this and did this and did this, and I know this ain't gonna be the only conversation that I know people who possibly will return and talk about certain things, but it's really gonna reveal. Oh yeah, and then when they do, it's still the fact of like you still have the opportunity to even accept them in your world or not. See, that's the whole risk in itself when you're healing. It's like do you want to take that risk again with that person? You know how much that is, or like, not how much, but yeah, it is costly. Especially if you don't know what people really got going on. That's why people be talking about the dating scene because ain't nobody, when you think about the foundations of what the world has been in, I see it's so many women. So many women. And the reason why I say so many women is because there's way more women than men, but at the same moment, it's more so like
A lot of them coming to their self-realization. It didn't matter how much money that man has, none of that shit. That don't mean nothing. He don't know how to love himself or treat himself better. To knowing how important it is to keep whatever he's building afloat. That's why it's so important for people, even whoever you associate yourself with, know they need to have knowledge of themselves. All that fucking trendsetter shit, trying to jump on this and do, man, that stuff to me just shows me like, you think you gonna come over here, and I'm telling you now, I know the insight in what I'm creating. I don't have time, I don't have the energy and none of that shit for the bullshit. So I told y'all, it was made very clear to me the importance of doing this ancestral healing or jumping on the healing journey. And I'm trying to make it sound like it's something that's fun all the time. No, it prepares you for that. That's what I will say. Because once you see the things that kept you from actually embracing your authenticity, your integrity, your inner child, the fun and things, that highlights your well-being. Your emotional well-being, your mental well-being, your spiritual well-being. And it's different for everybody because, again, in my chart, these things are highlighted specifically so that I realize what it is intentionally I'm building toward and creating. So I have to recognize who is opposition to that or who is not in alignment or in tune with that. It don't matter how good she look. It don't matter how much money she got. None of that matters because you got to think about what comes with people. Kids and none of that stuff because, and I'm talking about not outside of relationship, I'm talking about business and all that stuff. Because the reason I'm telling y'all this is because a lot of y'all are going to start over and realize that whether you have kids or not, this is going to be vital to where that man's mind, how do he feel about himself? What is his well-being centered around? How is his emotional state? All these things are very significant. So when you're talking about wanting a lover or being a lover, a lot of y'all come to this self-realization of like, you have forgotten about yourself for so many years. So now when you're starting over, that's going to be a slow and steady process with Uranus and Gemini. So a lot of you are going to initiate co-parenting, co-guardianship, and so forth. But I always tell y'all to represent around, yeah, you can be a lover at heart. It's not a curse. It was a curse till you realize that you're the gift. The only curse was a loop, was a pattern. You were choosing to mask yourself, whomever you are, to be at war with the world, mask yourself to be at war with yourself and at peace with the world. Instead of choosing peace with yourself, make peace and make amends. And this is, again, how you will know outside of the surface shit. Because when you get spiritually, emotionally in tune and your well-being, all of that shit is intact, you will start to clearly see how much people are at war with whatever they're going on and how deep they really have met themselves. It's going to be displayed in how they approach life. It's going to be displayed in how they have fun, what they call fun. Think about that. Fun for some people is just getting drunk every weekend, every day, getting high, escaping through something to keep from really balancing out something with themselves. Fun for some people is codependency. Fun for some, I'm telling you, I'm giving y'all real and raw shit. Always want to be around the homeboys, baby. He got abandonment issues. And most of the time, you know, if you want to call it down low and all of that, that's probably some type of sexual trauma. Women do this too. People always wanting to be around. Y'all gotta realize cycles are changing. When women start to choose themselves, the collapse in the patriarchal it collapses everything around the patriarchal. It will force men. This is why I already know I'm 10 steps ahead. It will force men. Because even in rejection, you're either going to go through the same fucking loop or you're going to see the rejection as protection. Everyone won't see it that way. A person that chooses to be karmic will jump right back into realizing that they can't accept rejection. They'll jump right back into something codependent. They'll already be having a motherfucking fish on a fucking hook. And y'all think that shit cute, already having someone available. Because you already knew that you already had that list or them niggas or whomever it is, Tom, Jim, or whoever the fuck it is. But you never got time for you. Shut the fuck up with that shit. That's codependency. That's abandonment issues. Because again, society taught, who y'all been learning from? A distorted mother. Y'all been learning from distorted women. Women who are not even at peace with themselves. Codependency shows that you are not at peace or made peace with shit. With your own emotional fucking safety or emotional security. To where you don't even know. This goes back to what I was about to get into where, again, you can go on with your life and see people will actually think that you got to be talking to somebody. Because you ain't effing with me no more. You're not talking to me no more. You're not doing this. Y'all don't realize those who know that be on this journey, baby, I've committed to myself. You ain't got to accept it or believe it or not. That right there is a telltale sign. And that's why you will see people go out and do stuff intentionally or in a ways of getting back or to try to prove to you, which is again a form of trying to look for validation, acceptance, or approval that they're happy or show the world. And it screams codependency, abandonment issues, fear of being with yourself. And when you have been on this journey, because some of y'all are like this already in relationships and marriages. Baby, you've been checked out. I know some of y'all go key when I say that shit. You've been checked out emotionally, mentally, and so forth. But what a narcissist will do, they'll play the victim and make it seem like they checked out. But in actuality, baby, they watching everything you're doing. They actually do care about what you're about to do and how you're going to do it. They just don't realize in the narcissist mindset, their focus is on the control. So the control that they've lost, again, when you think about on a low vibrational aspect or a person who's not at peace, misery loves company. They'll do anything to try to get back on, whether you want to call it a good side or get into your good grace again. This is where integrity comes in. This is where authenticity comes in. As women and men, the divine will always give your ass a way out. There will always be signs. Y'all get caught up in, again, abandonment issues, which is a form of, again, financial dependency. All this time, you got to realize, I've been on this journey where I had to go through shit where people assumed that I didn't have it together. But why are you watching my life then? Because you watching how much consistent I've been and you know something. You already know I had to, you will go through stuff just for the divine, for the Most High to show you where people's hearts are, where they're actually still in the karmic loop. Because if they were as supportive and as authentic as they say they are, they wouldn't have an issue at all with you going towards your North Star because they know it benefits everybody involved. It supports everyone involved. This is a stage, a world stage. Everybody got to play their part. Everyone's playing their part. And people are playing their karmic part. I'm just not finna stay on the karmic timeline with your ass. And they know, and you got to know, because once you realize, when you start to distance and you notice how the divine or the Most High is making way for you to actually, get the things you need done happen, that's where consistency and persistence comes in. You have to stay consistent with the fucking self-care, self-love, and balancing. Even with that person who you normally may be going through something that you cannot even control or know that they don't even have control over, but they're trying to control. They're trying to project to the world that they controlling and have it all together. And you know fucking well, no you don't, because in some instance, you have to be the one to realize, dang, I never had it all together. So I need to realize, like, if I didn't, even if I gained all this material shit, even if I got this and this and this, the divine was like, oh no, baby. Let me show you something. Cause you thought you been lost. You built an identity around something that ain't really for the higher good of everyone involved. You was building it from a self-righteous place. And then a lot of y'all about to see that with a lot of men and integrity. A lot of y'all finna be all types of all ages. You gotta ask yourself, what type of men you want influence and being an influence for you. And if you got abandonment wounds, baby, if you got father wounds, it's okay. Because you got to give yourself grace. You never saw a healthy man. I can say that. That doesn't mean women wasn't healthy for me or for themselves. It was more so of the fact of how much I needed to learn myself more to where I can stay persistent enough with this experience so that you connect with people that also have done that. You get inspired by people. Because sometimes we're unaware that people will actually have you believing like you're not supposed to go towards what brings you peace and harmony and balance. It's just as much years, months, whatever the duration of that connection, whatever it is, guess how much effort you have to put in to stay the course towards what you're doing. It's self-explanatory. So yes, I'm very much aware, like a lot of things people I know are finna get and receive because when you see how when certain energies reveal or certain things will reveal where people are, you learn not to even realize like you no longer have to attach yourself to it. You realize you can't save them from their own vices or what they're going through. And I've been telling y'all like a lot of women now, when you see some things that they realize they've been running right behind these men, and with that, it's also gonna reveal again, that's your warning. You saw what happened to that man? Y'all saw what happened to certain people that was broadcasted publicly and all this stuff? What are you protecting? Because ask yourself, you want someone to call you out on your shit, or you want someone to sit there, allow you to go through a fucking loop? Because see, on a journey of what it is to be a lover and self-love and self-care, we holding each other accountable over here. And it really says a lot if how you respond to it. Because you're mirrors. That's what self-worth and self-value. You want to see each other elevate together, right? You want to see each other ascend past generational patterns and cycles, right? Or curses, right? You want that. Because love will actually, when you embody it, you want to see the better for that person, no matter the circumstances. But everyone, if they haven't healed or went through certain lessons, they don't want that. They may say it, but when they haven't done the internal work, y'all know, people will say one thing and all of a sudden, a couple days later, calling you out your name or saying something to where it's like, what? And you got to catch it. It's the loop. But it just simply reveals again where people haven't really showed up more for themselves. It's so easy when you realize that you've been on a journey of learning yourself more to where you really don't be surprised what people are capable of or realize like how much they are lying to themselves. Because how you gonna tell me this? Like, that's just like me trying to go like tell somebody like who's been on a journey longer than me when it comes to, you know, being with themselves or balancing and so forth. Like, they're trying to say like, oh, I'm just as healed, or I'm just, no, you're not. I had to see that with a lot of people. Because once the access start to be denied, it reveals certain things in them where I realize, oh, we don't have the same core values. We don't value the same thing. And like I said, there's beauty in being a lover. Because once you realize a lot of people who are the opposite of that, they carry a lot of grief and resentment. A lot of things that I know I had to navigate through. And when I chose to, it allowed me to see who was holding on to those same energies that I already let go of. So in that, it protected me. It prepared me for experiences without those same energies present. And then the bigger thing too is that when people don't do the inner work, when they really don't go in within themselves and become more in tune, you know what ends up happening? They can have a spirit of discernment, but they don't use it properly. I gradually accepted this a lot because it's basically saying like you don't listen to your intuition. And so you're just as lost as anybody else who chooses to hold on to the old narrative or stay on that old timeline. You're karmic. And so it's important in partnership, relationships, whatever it is, when you come out of something or you're learning, again, I tell people to where people will be so focused on what you're doing. And that also will be a telltale sign of, again, codependency being revealed, unhealthy attachment, and also their fear of being alone, to get to know themselves and not build towards something. Because I know for a lot of women, and y'all gotta think it's the same for men. It's not easy thinking that you're going to rebuild and reconstruct a life with children. The vetting process is very important because this reveals the fact of where people don't have boundaries. You're trusting not only yourself again, but now you have to be discerning. Intuitive, discerning, and pick up on the fact of like, how slow do I need to go with this? Because whatever I invite in my world, you know, those who have kids, you're inviting into your children's world. And I had to see this experience with growing up. Again, where people don't see the importance of you just allowing anybody into your children's life. Passive aggressive people are just as dangerous. They're just as dangerous. Because these energies are going to reveal the hatred people really do have. They cannot hide it no more. A lot of y'all going to start to see the person that you married, the person that you were in a relationship with, the person you had a baby with, anything. They got a lot of healing to do. They got a lot of divine intervention. And just know you're going to be divinely guided and protected away and out. Because fear will have you believing that there's nothing outside of anything else. No, when you stay, the lover aspect of a lot of this in operating higher is choosing yourself, being able to stay the course of that, to aligning with someone who knows the importance and reflects those same core values. Because then it won't be why you leaving? Or y'all got to realize a lot of that shit is abandonment issues and trauma bonds. When people actually fear someone walking away. It's no different than people holding mother and father energy to where you encourage that person. And realizing whatever they're internally having to do with is for the betterment of all. Like I said before, there was this video somebody had referenced and showed me. That was like, why don't people say, like, when they're in a connection or relationship, say like, dang, out of all this shit, arguing all this other stuff, why haven't you never told me that? And this is for some women and men, but the man was referencing how, how some women would never say like, well, if you know I could choose better, why won't you just encourage me to realize, like, or it's basically saying in the words of a woman, and men can do this too. It's like, this is where I'm at, and respectfully, I'm not ready for this. Or I've come to the self-realization to where you do deserve better. It was something along down the lines like that. Like, not only do you deserve better, but it's more so like, I need to be better for myself. And, instead of somebody, how somebody say, you won't find better, you're going to do the same thing, projecting all these things, which really is an internal thing for them, because they're basically saying how they're preparing themselves for that very thing. Instead of encouraging that person, not just to move on with someone, but you actually deserve better treatment. I'm just not able to give it to you right now because I realize I need to pour more into myself. We didn't grow up with shit like that. But it's important. Because a lot of these connections and partnerships, whether you're co-parenting or not, when your children see that, and yes, you could have went through karmic lessons. Yeah, you could have went through things, ups and downs and so forth. But when they actually don't get the opportunity to see their mother and father be treated in the holistic aspect, in the healthy aspect, or seeing their mother and father choose themselves, what do you think that's going to be a loop of? They'll repeat the same shit. They will repeat the same shit because a lot of y'all know, a lot of grandmas and great grandmas and uncles and whatever it is, people stayed in marriages and they never walked away. They never walked away. They lived in fear. Love and fear don't coexist. There was always a way out. There was always, the only way out is through. You had to get to that point to get through the shit. I know some people, well, finances or this and this and this and that. There are other people out there that have the same opportunity. And this is why so much is being highlighted around how you see the greed, and I've talked about this, and like how the greed and the self-righteousness on people making money off of this shit, off of domestic violence. They make money, all ciphering the energy of loving to see women single mothers, because a lot of that shit, when you see, and I'm telling you from experience, there's so much shit that had like there's when I say the resources dealing with to prepare a man to deal with the same repercussions, and honestly, I'm grateful to actually see what women go through, to actually see that a part of what they're actually going through when they go through a lot of that stuff, it's not a high percentage in really supporting them emotionally, mentally, and so forth around their whole well-being. Because a lot of this shit, the cycle, it's a loop. Y'all don't realize a lot of the old world narrative that's collapsing around the patriarchal, the wounded masculinity, it never sits them down to actually sit with the repressed emotions, to actually be apart from their children enough to sit with it. It's a loop to keep y'all in. So then when you try to reconnect because you do want your family, or when you try to go build out there with another man, you never sat with yourself. You don't go through the vetting process. You never healed. You never did none of that shit. Because it's always designed to what? Keep you in a loop of trying to find a place to live, go through the shelter, go through all this shit to where they bare minimum this, bare minimum that, all this other stuff. Let me tell you something. This is why I stay in authenticity and integrity and knowing what I'm creating and building. Knowing that the shift has a lot to do with what's going to be poured into not just men like me, but other people who actually want to rebuild something, for women to actually rest through a fucking and after a fucking domestic dispute, a divorce, a breaking up, a separation, with or with kids involved, resources being there, shelter and food, housing. That's not going to be stripped from them. That 30 days, 90 days, all this other shit. Do y'all realize the collapse in this shit that's preparing for things like this? Because it's about creating more harmony for y'all. Peace that you didn't even think that was obtainable in your lifetime. That your mother never got. That your auntie, somebody, intergenerationally passed on that you never got to sit with. The anger around not so much of how you were treated also through the connection, but also how, you know how much frustration comes up when you actually dig deep within yourself and see your worth to realize the role that you played to allow the shit. Now that's a different kind of anger. That's a different kind of rage. When you start to sit down and realize like the role when you had no control, or where you were bullied or manipulated and deceived so much like young, to where now you see where the root cause of it come from, to where you've been planted out through your adulthood. So that's why I told you I represent inner child, so you can actually come home. Because what will be done and what will happen is there will be retreats for these things to happen. There will be land. There will be resources. There will be things coming down the pipeline. There will be things that it is. As above, so below, as within, so without. It is done. It's so. It is so. And it's going to come at the hands of what? The collapse of the old system. It's going to come at the hands of y'all. Y'all that are sitting back, holding on to, for some of y'all, ideas, spiritual currency. Some of y'all, finances. Some of y'all, wherever status you're at, whatever you obtain. Don't be like your grandma and them who have hatred and bitter. And with it, they dying with this bitterness in their fucking heart chakras. They're dying with the fact of they're up. You know what? A lot of them won't tell you that they're sitting with that shit at an age of 70, 80, 90, and it literally is destroying them from the inside out. They're rotting from the inside out. You can research this and show you how holding on to emotions, holding on to things destroys the body. The body keeps the score. And I'm telling y'all this is so when you realize that you don't have to be your grandmother. You don't have to actually be these people. You can actually create and build some shit with your mind. When inside of yourself, it starts with you. You will donate to shit that don't even support your well-being. You will give to these people that you don't know nothing about. You'll do all this shit before you actually pour into yourself or actually share it with people who actually will want to see this shit happen for you. You've been around people who don't want to see shit happen for you. They don't want, because they're not, their well-being, they're not even in tune. They're not even aware. I share this shit for showing y'all what's coming down the pipeline. And the rest of them people, some of it may take a little longer, but at the same time, it's preparing you. Y'all sitting here think you gotta wait around for people. No, you don't. The universe is already preparing you. There are people, they're gonna come from all walks of life. And some will come with this. Some will offer trading. We're returning to trading and bartering services. Some will offer this, some will offer that. I tell y'all, it's going to be some wild shit. It'll be some shit to where it may be finances. It may be vehicles. It may be services in all types of forms. When you look at a universal aspect of things, services in all types of forms. That's what spiritual currency is. People are going to be offering in exchange for your services, in exchange for your ideas, in exchange for your arts, your music, and so forth. And this is simply because how deep they met themselves and see the value. That's going to be the universe responding to you, your universe within. They don't ever think this shit is in vain. It's not. I said wild shit years ago. Why? And it's coming full circle. It's coming full circle again. Y'all gotta realize, like, it's so much shit that is abundant out here where, again, a karmic person, a person who hasn't really gone within themselves and really face a lot of things, won't see the interconnectedness, but also the abundance in all of this. This is why they hoard shit. This is why they're so self-centered. There's no balance. And it's selfish in an unhealthy way. It's not centered around well-being. Because somebody else will convince you otherwise. But in reality, nah, you got to still keep moving on, because you got to allow people to go through what they go through, because intuitively you're going to know that their heart space is not clear. People can have different chakras open, but at the same time, when it comes to the aspect of what intuitively like a lover is and those who are on a higher timeline, it's not about saving people. They're gonna have to go what they go through what they go through. You cannot save them. It just kind of is what it is. So yeah. Yup. I be seeing some wild shit out here. But I realize a lot of places where I'm at, not only am I picking up on the energy and channeling the energy, but I'm also picking up on the fact of like some of the areas, and this is how people become stuck and stagnant. It really does highlight codependency and not for everybody, but some people just don't see a way out or through. Yep. And that's why, as like when you're on that love frequency and you have to stay at a higher frequency or balance yourself, you're sometimes, even when stuff don't go in other people's favor, sometimes people karmically will see it like life is happening to them. They'll feel stuck when you will be in this way of like, you're not stuck, because you have to let things play out, because you don't want to miss. The divine is trying to show you something that you need to pay attention to. Because sometimes when we get caught up and we try to move too quickly or abruptly or impulsively, no, you need to review, reflect, and realize like, oh, I needed to hear that person say this, or I needed to see this, I needed to, this. So many different things where you become aware like, oh, okay, I got it now. This makes a lot of sense now. So yeah, you begin to see the bigger picture. Just like that masterpiece. It's like you can see one side of it, but it wouldn't, to somebody they'll perceive it as one way. But when you bring it together, it's the bigger picture. I feel like that's all I want to cover. Peace.